Hey guys, so looks like Mithril, the creators of Dungeonborne, just posted some notes on this playtest and upcoming early access on their Discord, and I'm pretty excited about what they said, what it means for the game. Um, Looks like they took a lot of our feedback and are going to make some changes before early access launches. So this playtest was originally supposed to last for 7 to 14 days, but it looks like they canceled it early so that they can get some of those changes in. And we're just going to run through them real quick. One thing that they have said is that they're going to continue working on class balance. They said, just reading it out loud here, throughout the playtest, we've been closely monitoring your feedback and suggestions on class balance. In addition to community feedback, we're using data analysis, such as extraction rates and KD ratios, to guide our decisions. Balancing classes is a complex task, so we aim to make thoughtful and well-considered adjustments rather than rushing any changes. Sure, that's fantastic. We recognize that the response to this round of balance changes has been slower as we've been implementing a multi-skill system. Some known class difficulties will be addressed by adding these new active skills and passives. Our current data also indicates that performance across all classes is relatively balanced in 3v3 matches, which is our primary focus for balance. However, we understand the importance of 1v1 and are committed to improving it as much as possible while preserving balance in 3v3 gameplay. So yeah, I think that's a great design philosophy. If I were making the game, I would definitely focus on the 3v3, but like, they will need to put in a little bit of work in the 1v1 area. But let's actually get into the specifics. So first thing, the big thing, more skill options for classes. This has been my number one complaint about the game. And it's not a giant complaint. The game is obviously in playtest right now, so they're working on it, but it does feel bad that every fighter you run into is going to have the exact same skills. Every Death Knight is going to have the exact same skills. But it looks like by early access, we can expect to see some new active skills on those classes. And if you notice, that's not all of them. I know that it looks like Pyromancer and Druid are notably left out, but they are working on the others. And then the other thing with that, obviously class passives will have to be adjusted because we're going to have new active skills, so we're going to want new passives to go along with those. We'll see how that goes. Into the actual class balance, though, Swordmaster, increase Psionic Blades cooldown when only 1 or 2 swords are consumed. Psionic Blades also no longer restore life by default and will require the Healing Scabbard passive to restore life. So I think that was a pretty common complaint on the Discord from players, is that Swordmaster Q, if you only use 1 or 2 swords, the cooldown is either non-existent or very, very short, and it just felt like you were getting spammed by swords. I don't think it was that big of a deal. Since you can, if you have a shield and you block swords, you take 0 damage. But we'll see how it goes. Swordmaster does feel very, very strong. I think most of that is due to Sword and Shield, but we'll get into that in a minute. So toning it down a little bit seems probably like a good idea. We'll see if it needs further adjustment from there, though. Pyromancer, they added a casting interval to Pyroblast Stage 1 to prevent rapid spamming, and adjusted a few passive skills. Doesn't say anything about the passive skills, what they adjusted. I'm curious to see what that is. Reducing the casting interval on Pyroblast Stage 1 also it feels like a minor nerf. Just because it is kind of oppressive to just get spammed with Stage 1 Pyroblast when you're closing in. Lot of damage on the push into the team. So hopefully that helps a little bit with them feeling so oppressive on long sightline maps. Rogue stealth will make you fully invisible when you're far from the enemy, but you will still only be only obscured when up close. I know this is a pretty common thing that people want. People want Rogue stealth to be actual invisibility. I don't think that Mithril wants to give them full invisibility up close, because otherwise you run into fully stealth rogues that pop out. You can't see them at all. They pop out and you just die before you get a chance. So it looks like they want some counterplay there. But keeping it at a distance at least allows the rogue to kind of close in and wrap around and maybe approach from behind. So I think that what we'll see is a lot more usability from rogues and their stealth. And then for druid, they significantly increase Panther Form's basic attack damage. Good. I think Panther Form in no gear is like 30 damage, 26 or so an attack. Really worthless. Feels really bad. Currently, when I tried druid, it feels like you have to pounce in and run out, pounce in and run out. And it just doesn't feel good. Upping their sustained damage on their Panther Form attack will be at least a step in the right direction to have them contribute to team fights. I think they're okay in solo, but in teams, I feel like they are really bad to play. Weapon balance adjustment. So I mentioned Sword and Shield earlier. Sword and Shield is probably the most oppressive attack pattern in the game right now, in my opinion. The charge up time's really quick. You get a dash from it. If you take damage, if you take damage during the charge up while you're holding it, it increases the damage that your attack does. And then it's a highly accurate, high damage attack. It's really oppressive. It's especially oppressive to new players that don't know how to counter it. Don't know what the enemy is doing. So I like that they increase the charge up. This should give us the ability, if we're using, say, a two-handed weapon or something like that, to charge our own attack in a faster attack, launch at them and interrupt their charge. And if that's the case, then good. We want counterplay, and currently it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of counterplay. Itemization adjustments. They are slightly increasing the stat values of magic equipment and further increase the stat values of epic plus equipment. So I guess recently, before the last playtest, I haven't played the game before this playtest. I guess there was a bigger stat difference in gear, much bigger. It looks like and then they squished it, right? They squished it and made the stat difference smaller. Currently, there's not a big stat difference. You're going to roll the same values on the higher tier gear as lower tier gear. The only difference being that you can have more stat lines on that higher tier gear right now. Looks like they increased the stats that you could roll on it to higher values by a little bit. I hope it's not by a ton. I do want a gear difference to be a thing, but I hope it's not by a ton. And then we see that having better gear is going to matter more. Now, hopefully along with that, what they'll do is make sure that they separate lobbies by gear score so that we're not having uber geared people running in and just destroying people in all greens. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The other thing they did is lower the activation threshold for most set affixes and enhance the effects of tier 3 set affixes. Good. Currently, I think that it's super hard to get those set affixes, those special set bonuses like Midas Touch, stuff like that. Super hard to get, really not worth stacking. Also requires you to get perfect gear to do it, and you have to roll those stats. So very frustrating, hard to get for not a lot of return. So hopefully that's really nice. The other thing, Mithril Order. Mithril Order is a game mode that you can play where you don't risk losing anything. You go into the game in a predetermined set of gear, and if you die, you lose nothing. If you go out, everything you pick up gets either disenchanted or sold. Pretty good for learning the game. However, one thing that a lot of people complain about is there's a respawn mechanic for Mithril Order characters. So if you die, you will get at least one respawn. I think as you level up, you might get more. But it looks like they're going to remove the respawn mechanic from Mithril Order characters. So should be good. I know a lot of people wanted it. I don't really play Mithril Order, so it doesn't really bother me. Them respawning also doesn't really bother me. I think it only really matters on lower tier lobbies. But hey, if people want it, I'm for it. Looks like generic PvE improvement statement. Don't know what that means. We'll have to wait and find out. Matchmaking lobby improvements. Hopefully that's what I was talking about earlier with the gear score matchmaking. Client server optimization and bug fixing. That's just par for the course. And then a new server region in South America. So those are all great things. Definitely doing work for the game. I am sad that the playtest is over so fast, but excited to see when early access is launching. And it looks like they're going to announce the launch date for early access on July 12th. So in 2 days, we'll know exactly when it's coming. Hopefully it's not too long. I think that they have stated that the game will launch into early access this month. So hopefully by the end of the month, we won't have long to wait, and we'll have an early access game with increased stats. But yeah, tell me what you think about the notes in the comments, please, and I'll see you out there.